Patrick, Lilly, the demo god, and I am back by popular command to bring you creative control. Today, we've got Codd Sinclair with us and the host of the PWO WrestleCast, Matt. And today we are going to be discussing the trios titles that have been long rumored to be coming on AEW. And we have set up a 16-team tournament that will decide the the first champions at AEW. Guys, what are you looking for in this tournament?
I'm looking to be right because if you all remember from my beginning of the year prediction show that we did for the WrestleCast, I so fairly predicted that by the end of the year we would get those titles. So I am looking forward to number one being correct, and number two, seeing some good stable warfare. I feel like we don't necessarily have to have a 5 to 6 man stable with 2 teams each, which I know we'll get to, but at the same time, these already 3-person factions or 4-person factions, this is a real opportunity for them to shine. So, and one thing AEW does extremely well is multi-man tag matches. So I'm looking for some shine. This is going to be really exciting.
Agreed. Matt, what are you looking forward to most while discussing this?
I think we need to do what every good booker does. All right. We need to establish new stars. We need to build storylines to come out of it. And we need to incorporate storylines that have also already been introduced. All of which I think in discussions prior, I think we've nailed this. We have directions coming outward. We have a great storyline building throughout the tournament. And I think we have a lot of matchups that are going to inspire and just be enjoyable to watch, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. So the parameters for this, we decided because it's out there on the dirt sheets that these titles could debut for the first night of Rampage. So what we decided was we were going to stretch out the tournament over 3 episodes of Dynamite, 2 episodes to knock out the round of 16, an episode to knock out the quarterfinals, and then both semifinals, and then the finals would take place on the first night of Rampage. The 16-team tournament, if we could put the bracket up, Codd, we'll run down from top to bottom. All right, starting with the top of the bracket, we have the Best Friends versus the Inner Circle representatives, which is going to be Pride and Powerful and Sammy Guevara. Second matchup will be the Factory versus the Nightmare Family. The Factory will be represented by Nick Camarado, Aaron Solo, and QT Marshall. Nightmare Family will be Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, and, of course, the Captain. Next set of matches are the Wild Things, which will be Jon Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and I forgot who we put in there. Who is their third?
A surprise pull from Impact Wrestling, making a substantial addition to this tournament. We added Sami Callihan due to
Sami Callihan, that's right.
Due to prior tag teams with both men. And let's flex that forbidden door a little bit there.
Yeah, a little bit.
So next round will be a surprise with the Wild Things. It'll be Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Impact Zone, Sami Callihan, joining former tag team partners to go up against the HFO. And this is the first. Now, this is the first of 2 different Hardy representatives. This was going to be TH2 and the Blade. And
now we picked the Blade because the Butcher is still out recovering from injury. Not sure how legitimate the Blade's injury is coming out of Double or Nothing very recently, but
Yep.
we'll
And then to fill out the top half of the bracket, we've got the first representation of the Dark Order, which is Evil Uno, Stu Grayson, and Colt Cabana versus Death Triangle.
Man.
So before we go to the bottom half of the bracket, guys, which matchup theoretically would you be looking forward to most?
Oh, obviously it's Best Friends in Inner Circle. Obviously, this is the Jay Lethal Dalton Castle version of this, tournament, because they faced off in the first round of the Pure tournament for Ring of Honor to crown the new Pure champion. This is the highlight matchup. You have a strong trio against a strong trio. Guys work really well together. The feud is there also from their backlot brawl, or their parking lot brawl, whatever you want to call it. So I'm very, very excited to see who comes out of that.
Yeah, it's a tough draw for both teams. This is where AEW really shows the depth of its roster, because while we haven't gone over the bottom half, this really does show you wouldn't expect that those two teams would be a first round matchup.
Yeah, and something to consider is that we're booking, the Dynamites as well. This is, this is a main event match. You're going to have 6 stars in the ring. It's a great way to end Dynamite.
Sure. Matt, do you have another match any other matches that stand out to you in that bracket?
I do, and maybe this is a dark horse for best opening matchup here. Dark Order versus Death Triangle. I gotta tell y'all, Evil Uno and Stu Grayson are maybe the most underrated tag team right now in AEW. They have incredible chemistry. A lot of their moveset is explosive, it's dynamic, and honestly, it gets a big pop from any crowd. We actually just saw last night at Double or Nothing, Evil Uno has his own fan club, and they lost their minds when he came out in the Battle Royale. I really feel like Uno, Grayson, and of course Colt Cabana can have a very entertaining matchup with Death Triangle, and maybe more competitive than anticipated when you see it on paper.
I agree with that. I don't think we need to forget that Colt Cabana is more than capable as number 3 with Stu Grayson and Uno. All right, now we are going to the bottom half of the bracket here. And the first matchup, we have got the Siddell brothers with their new partner, Frankie Kazarian, going up against the Hardy Party, which of course is Matt Hardy and Private Party together. And that is the second representation of Hardy's group there. In the bottom half of that bracket, we have Team Taz going up against Jurassic Express. Next match, we have Dark Order's second representation, which of course is Silver Reynolds and 10 versus the Wingmen. And then finally, at the bottom half of the bracket, we have the Gun Club squaring off against the Pinnacles representation, which is FTR and Sean Spears. Guys, what are you looking forward to most out of those 4 matchups?
So representing for Team Taz, we talked this over as kind of dependent on what exactly we're going to do here with Brian Cage. Just jumping out of last night with Double or Nothing, we kind of assumed what happened was going to be the case. I don't think that's the end of Team Taz, though, just yet. They're going to have one last chance of getting it together in this tournament. So the team of Powerhouse Hobbs, Brian Cage, and I believe due to Ricky Stark's neck injury, we're not too sure on if he's out or not. I know they alluded to it on Dynamite not Dynamite, Double or Nothing. Hey, you can't hit me, alluding to his neck. So we think this could also be a good way to introduce Hook into the group. So team of Cage, Hook, and Hobbs, kind of a young dynamic group there. facing off with Jurassic Express. Jungle Boy coming off of what will probably be a very entertaining heavyweight title shot. Luchasaurus coming up, hopefully maybe proving some of his doubters wrong, and Marco Stunt here to sell to high hell for everyone in the ring. I think that could be very good. I also look at Dark Order versus the Wingmen. Wingmen being, we had said, Nick Nemeth, or sorry, Ryan Nemeth. Nick Nemeth's someone else. Peter Avalon and JD Drake, accompanied by Cesar Bononi. I think we had chosen Bononi on the outside of this one just because of how big he is. We kind of want to protect that a little bit more. I think that could also be a very, very good match, similar to how we said Dark Order in the last round.
God, you got a match that you look at that sticks out there?
Well, Matt took mine because he did too. So thanks. Very interested over this Matt Sydal, Mike Sydal, and Kaz trio taking on Hardy Party. Being the Elite just came out a handful of minutes ago, and Hardy Party's not doing too well, honestly. They're still shaken up over none of them winning the Casino Battle Royale. So I don't think the cracks are starting to show, but it does show that they're still not a cohesive team. And then you have Kazarian, who is now going to try to find his footing. And quite honestly, a year ago, you could have said this tournament was built for, as a vehicle to put the titles onto SCU. But now Sky is with Ethan Page. Daniels and Kazarian no longer teaming. Kazarian's trying to find his footing anywhere. And I think that the flippy stuff that the Sydals do pair really well with Kazarian's in-ring mat work. So I'm very intrigued to see how that's booked.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could be the A-list match from that bottom half, like we talked about. Inner Circle of Best Friends, Matt Hardy, and Private Party. I don't think they get talked about maybe as being a threat in this, like they should be. So obviously, the Pinnacle kind of sticks out when you first look at that bracket. I feel like those guys are definitely the favorite on the bottom end to come out of this side of the bracket, I would say.
Arguably the 1 seed.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look at the first 2 matchups here. We're looking at the Best Friends versus the Inner Circle and the Factory versus Nightmare Family. Our first match there, Best Friends and Inner Circle. We have the Best Friends going over in a barn burner. This is going to be a big time matchup, but at the end of the day, Best Friends get it done like they've been getting it done over Pride and Powerful in the past. Tightly contested match. But the other thing that is working against the Inner Circle is there is still some unfinished business with the Pinnacle. So we might see a run in there. We might see them come out to keep Hager or Jericho from making the save. And we have Best Friends advancing. And in the bottom half, we have the Factory going over the Nightmare Family because God knows the Factory needs a win over the Nightmare Family if we're going to continue this rivalry.
Yeah, with the Reign of Terror going on right now.
Yeah. Cody's Reign of Terror.
Additionally, I think having the Factory go over here is very good for specifically Nick Camarado and Aaron Solo. We need some momentum for these guys. As announced last night, Double or Nothing, Camarado is going to challenge Dustin Rhodes here in a bull rope match. That ties in perfectly into this story as well here. You can have Dustin hurt coming into this match from the beating he gets.
Yeah, and the other thing for the factory is it might be something they're trying to build at the moment where maybe singularly they are not strong, but together they are. Um, but Cody's reign is very Triple H early 2000s and Jeff Jarrett's like mid to late 2000s TNA run. Um, so fingers crossed that this is the case. The factory does go.
Yeah, so you move on to the bottom half of this bracket, and you have the Wild Things are just going to run roughshod over TH2 and the Blade. I mean, there's just too much star power there. Mox, Kingston, and Callahan are going to get that thing done. I don't think there's a lot of people that would think that wouldn't happen. And then you have Dark Order and Death Triangle, and this is going to be the steal the show match with Death Triangle pulling it out in the end. Just too much pack will be the difference there. That's a pretty even tag team match, but Pack is just got a little bit more in the tank than a Colt Cabana does.
Yeah. The Wild Things Hardy family match. I think it's going to be a little more contested than some might think. Because don't forget, TH2 had a match, I believe, with the Young Bucks a handful of months ago. And it was a good 10 to 15 minutes where it was back and forth because they can kind of go with them. I foresee them, definitely putting up a fight, but the Blade is going to sell that Sammy Callahan pile driver like a man.
I think the other thing to put in here is you got to remember TH2 is not official members of the Hardy family office. They are mercenaries that they've been hired as they've pushed out this entire time with them. Hey, we're going to pay you to take them out. We're going to pay you to do this. So Butcher being out of the tournament allows you to have further frustration in this group. Blade not necessarily feeling the teamwork. A lot of storylines you could use also to push in that the Wild Things are just that much better than them.
All right. Now that would leads us into the quarterfinals at the top half. Best Friends versus the Factory and Wild Things versus Death Triangle. Now going to the bottom half of the bracket. We'll look at Seidel's and Kaz versus Hardy Party and Team Taz versus Jurassic Express. We have got the Seidel's and Kaz moving on in a tightly contested match. And then we have Team Taz coming out over Jurassic Express. Jurassic Express is a sentimental favorite. A lot of people love Jurassic Express, but at the end of the day, they have a weak link, and that's Margot Stunt. And while Jurassic Express, I think you can expect to see maybe more success at the tag team level. At the end of the day, that third man just hurts way too much.
Especially facing off with Brian Cage and Powerhouse Hobbs in the ring.
Yep. Comments on those, or we think that's pretty straightforward. Wins.
You're right. I think the big story is going to be, Kazarian versus Matt Hardy possibly moving forward to a singles match. Possibly at All Out. Because we got the word at Double or Nothing that's going to be September 5th. It's a Sunday, which I hate, but I digress. I think that'll be a great pre-show match. I think it'll lead to that. And now they're going to run into the buzzsaw that is Hobbs, Cage,
and Hook. And Hook. He's going to hook you. Can I just ask something real quick?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the other big storyline to come out of this, and we have to, I think, really emphasize this, is how is Jungle Boy Jack Perry going to handle being eliminated in the first round after just losing in a world title match? Really going the first year and a half without a belt, without a whole lot of major marquee wins. I think the Casino Battle Royale victory here for him is great. I think maybe, just maybe, we're hinting at Jungle Boy realizing he might be better off as a singles guy.
Maybe realizing that dinosaurs are extinct.
Maybe Luchasaurus needs to forget how to dinosaur.
You're not a dinosaur. You're not a pirate.
I was going for the Step Brothers reference, but yeah.
Harvey.
He just needs to be a little more professional, I think.
No, I would have no problem with the professional. Now we get to the last two matches here at the bottom of the bracket, and if we're being honest, these are two mismatches.
Mm-hmm.
Dark Order is going to take care of the Wingmen, and the Gun Club, while both of the Young Guns have shown signs of promise, they are not ready for FTR and Sean Spears and the Pinnacle. I mean, they are already behind the 8 ball, and then you add Tully Blanchard to the mix, and you got bigger problems.
Is Gun Club versus the Pinnacle the shortest match of the first round?
Unless it's the Dark Order versus the Wingmen. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, wow. I was thinking it was between that or Wild Things.
Agreed.
Blade.
Agreed. One of the two will.
Yeah, one of those matches. It depends. I mean, Pinnacle might want to send a message. FTR is known for giving beatings when people deserve to get beaten up. So we'll tell them how they want to attack the match. I mean, I think it could be a quick one if you consider that they wrote the book on tag team wrestling and understand that this is a tournament and you want to stay as fresh as possible. So that concludes our round of 16. In the bottom bracket, we've got Seidel's and Kaz versus Team Taz, and Dark Order with Silver Reynolds and 10 versus the Pinnacle in the bottom half of the bracket. All right, setting up night 2. Or no, excuse me, we would be in the night 3 of Dynamite for the tournament. Setting up the first semifinal, we've got the Best Friends and the Factory. And here it's the Best Friends. There's too much experience as a tag team goes. Factory got a nice win over the Nightmare Family. That's a lot to build on coming out of this tournament. That's something to stick a feather in your cap and you look good coming out of the tournament. But let's face it, the Best Friends are on a collision course with the winner of the bottom half of the bracket is going to be Death Triangle. And again, what it comes down to here is just too much tag team experience. The Wild Things are 3 guys that while they've all been all of them have been successful at one time or another as tag team guys, they are 3 individuals that are tagging together instead of a team.
Yeah, somebody's gonna die in that match, I'm sure of it.
And I'm sure it's gonna be John Moxley or Eddie Kingston, because they're the guys who would be like, yeah, I'll take that bump.
Yeah, I also think that Sammy's gonna eat the pin because he's the Impact guy. Unfortunately, I really want them to do more Impact crossovers, but I think that this is just you get one win and we're taking it away. Right now.
Two nights of Sami Callihan being maybe introduced to a different crowd. Maybe that helps bring some new eyes on Impact because Sami Callihan is a star over there.
Right, literally the draw.
He is the draw.
He is the draw. So we have our first semifinal set up, and that's Best Friends and Death Triangle.
It's like this writes itself.
It's like it writes itself.
Years in the making.
All right, and we jump down, and we have the Seidels and Kaz versus Team Taz, and the numbers game is going to take its toll on the Seidels and Kaz here. And it's not just Team Taz, but Kaz decided last night he was going to pick a fight with the Elite. He went after the Good Brothers, trying to help out Mox and Kingston. So he is, of course, going to be a marked man. And Team Taz advances to the semifinals here. And in the bottom half of the bracket, we have the Dark Order and the Pinnacle. And what did Jericho say? Payback's a bitch. So Pinnacle is going to be knocked out because we're going to have the continuation of the Inner Circle rivalry here. Because if the Inner Circle can't get their hands on these belts, Pinnacle is not going to either.
Especially we have the Pinnacle costing Inner Circle in the first round.
Yep.
Inner Circle cost them in the second.
Yep.
And fan favorites, Silver, Reynolds, and Ted
Stay alive.
sneak into the semifinals. They become, I think, our Cinderella story here.
First, I was afraid. I was petrified.
Well, you know, the thing about them is we've seen it in ring. We've seen that all three of these dudes are capable of being really, really great wrestlers. But, I mean, especially Silver and Ted, they've both been right there. You know, both of them almost being TNT champions and having the chance to win gold at AEW and just not quite getting it done. But it's all there for them. They've all got it. So we are now down to our semifinals with Team Taz taking on the Dark Order in the bottom half of the bracket. We go into the very first Friday night Rampage with the Best Friends versus Death Triangle to open up the night. This is going to be the match of the night, and it's going to be the match of the tournament. And it is going to tear the house down. It is going to set the tone for a new TV show here for AEW. It's going to be big time, man. At the end of the day, to maybe some people's surprise, we got the Best Friends coming over the top. Part of that is, I think Ray Phoenix, we still don't know how healthy he's going to be coming back off an injury. Is he going to be able to take the wear and tear of the tournament? And, at the end of the day, Pac's going to continue to be in that heavyweight title picture. So it's not Death Triangle's time to be Trios champs.
I think this is also maybe a quick catch. Not like a quick catch, like a short match, but like it's a roll up. It's not foreseen. This match has years of build and was essentially set up initially pre-COVID before everything kind of fell apart. So putting it right here as the opening match of Rampage, I think is huge.
Agreed.
And then in the bottom half of the bracket, Cinderella is still dancing. A Dark Order finds a way to get it done over Team Taz, and Matt foreshadowed. We think this is the end of Brian Cage and Team Taz. And we think that you're going to see a new FTW champion and a new leader, so to speak, of that group as Powerhouse Hobbs. They're going to lose the match, but at the end of the segment, he's going to be standing tall over a dropped Brian Cage with the belt.
Yeah, I think that match is destined for All Out for that FTW title.
Implosion. That's what's going to happen.
And I think
that's how you make a big star too. You take a young guy on a big stage for gold, and you put him over, and that's what this rivalry is calling for. It's what the feud is calling for. Team Taz is calling for. Now Hobbs is destined for that FTW title to take essentially the role of Cage, and then you have Ricky Starks when he's healthy, TNT championship bound. But then, and we all thought that Brian Cage was going to be the guy when he came in, and I think eventually we might see that, maybe a Brian Cage Miro. somewhere down the line, but
I still think Brian Cage could be the guy down the road. I mean, he's got everything you want as a world champ. And they really did foreshadow it last night that, he doesn't need to be a part of a stable. He doesn't need a mouthpiece. He doesn't need anything. He can be his own guy, and he can be the guy. And we're going to see that eventually.
I think we're talking about the Cage blow up here. I think this is something that we include little drops into every single match that we see Team Taz, and it could finally just be the mishap that finally costs it all. I mean, we can see missed tags or trying to pull the ropes down and accidentally bring a Team Taz guy out of the ring rather than whoever they're facing. Several ways to bring it in, and then finally, we could have whatever Hook's move is or whatever Powerhouse Hobbs going for. He goes for anything. Maybe he's going for his pounce and ends up hitting Cage, or Cage ends up getting dropped there. We can see the blow-ups happening bit by bit until finally Dark Order is able to get the win here. And that's a huge part here. It sets us up for a really interesting final.
Yep.
Before we jump to that, what do you think? Because I know we didn't include Ricky Starks in the Team Taz trio. How would you feel? And this is just playing devil's advocate here for a quick second. Cage almost gets beat in the round 2 matchup to where Taz makes a decision to remove Brian Cage from the match to put Ricky Starks in. They don't win and blames Brian Cage for it.
I don't think you can blame him for losing if Taz makes that decision. I think he's gonna.
You could have Cage blame them and blow him up.
There you go.
Yeah.
Stripping him of another title opportunity.
But I think more likely is due to a Team Taz member, Cage eats the pin, and he's seen as the weak link. But there's a lot going on there. Mm-hmm. And finally, we are the last 30 minutes of Rampage set up the Best Friends versus the Dark Order. In a rare face-to-face championship match, but I think in this case it really works. One, because it's a vacant title.
Yep.
And it's a tournament. So you don't necessarily need a foil. You don't need a bad guy in the finals. We've had plenty of good guy, bad guy matchups throughout this tournament, but you have the Best Friends who are incredibly over, especially when you consider Orange Cassidy being the third best friend. He's arguably one of the 2 or 3 most over guys in the company right now.
His pop at Double or Nothing was insane. I mean, everything he did got the biggest reaction.
It was, which is, what you say what you say about him, you think about him how you think about him, but Cassidy can go, and I don't love his gimmick, but a lot of people do, and he's gotten it over, so it's hard to argue with it.
Other people whose gimmick they love, though, right on the other side of that bracket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is really what it comes down to is in-ring experience. Mm-hmm. Despite the match against Death Triangle, the Best Friends find a way to come out on top here to become your first ever AEW Trio Champions. Pop's going to be huge. The hug is going to be huge. And let's face it, this is, in my opinion, and then obviously we're booking it, but this is the only team that you can put these belts on
right away
to introduce to the AEW crowd. They deserve it. They've been A1 since day one. These guys have put on incredible matches. You look at everything they've done versus Pride and Powerful as a group, and at the end of the day, they're gonna be a great representation of the Trios Championship, and it's gonna be a team that people get behind. And I think you need those things when you're crowning your first champion.
I think this also establishes three other things here. Like you said, best friends experience and in-ring work put them over here. But if you look at the overall tournament, best friends outside of what we think would be the first match against the inner circle, they're winning dominant victories. They're winning against teams that are hard to beat. Whereas how Dark Order's been kind of set up, hey, we got one more. We caught him, though the entire time it's almost like it's better to be lucky than good.
They had some help. They have some, and and then always
midnight
happens.
strikes.
It's not just in wrestling when you see NCAA, basketball Cinderellas and stuff like that. Usually there's some luck involved. They get by the pinnacle with the help of the inner circle. Team Taz's inner turmoil ends up being the difference maker there. And that's part of the fun. I don't think anyone would have picked those guys to be there at the end, and they're going to put on one hell of a show against the best friends. But at the end of the day, you have the best friends celebrating. Maybe Trent's mom drives them for a victory lap around the stadium after they win the belts. Statlander comes out and celebrates, which we'll all enjoy. But no, we think this is the right decision, and that's why we booked it that way. What things, based on how we decided to book this, would you be most excited about other than the best friends winning? If you had to look at some of the results throughout the brackets, like other storylines that this could potentially set up.
I think we touched on it already a little bit, but the continuation and not the total abandonment of Inner Circle versus Pinnacle. I said on the prediction show that I think we are heading towards some type of Survivor Series-esque elimination style match. That's always a good way to end a big feud like this. Now I know there's blood and guts, and that was huge. They just had Stadium Stampede last night. That was huge. But there's been no actual wrestling match that they've had there. And in the world of professional wrestling, what better way to show you're better than your opponent than to beat them in the middle of the ring? So that's what I'm excited for, to see more Inner Circle Pineapple.
And
put some respect on that pinnacle. When you're the pinnacle, you're at the top.
When we started this, I made the point of we needed to incorporate rivalries that have started and move through it. Having the Inner Circle and Pinnacle in there is exactly what we're talking about. Having Death Triangle versus Best Friends finally happen in the semis there is, I think, huge. And we also talked about establishing new stars. We've brought in Hook. We're going to see him all the way through, at least to the semis. And we're establishing him. He could be picking up some of these wins here. I'm not too sure exactly what his finisher is going to end up being. If I'm booking it, it's a heel Hook.
I'm going to say it's the Hook mission.
But, we're going to see Gun Club, maybe get a little bit of offense in against the Pinnacle. So we're finally getting some time to showcase teams that aren't necessarily on TV all the time.
Yeah.
But we established Dark Order also as a threat to the Trios division. And this is something that they've not been able to do for a long time now. Even when Brody Lee was God rest his soul with us and on top, everyone else was still pretty down low. We immediately bring Dark Order all the way up to threat levels here. And we can also, maybe this loss is it. Maybe this is where we go, you know what? We're tired of having fun and losing. We are a cult. Let's do some cult things and get some damn gold around our waist.
Yeah, and I think that's a big point that needs to be made. Is there's a lot of guys in this tournament because AEW is not WWE, where hot potatoing is happening with belts that have not held any gold since coming to AEW.
In fact, we're saying this. I don't think anyone except for John Moxley and the Pinnacle have held any gold.
Kaz.
Yeah, Kaz was the first. Yeah, you're right there. So we have 4 guys in this entire tournament.
And that just tells you, like, it is hard to be a champion in AEW. It makes every match more significant. It makes every rivalry more significant. And it's also a testament to storytelling, because there are stories that matter that have no championship implications. You know, Pinnacle and Inner Circle have had no championship implications, up to now, where we book it into some implications. But again, neither really gets close to putting those straps on. So
this also could be a kind of good kind of start to the trios rankings also, to where now you'll have the Dark Order as the number 1 contenders, or even the number 2, and then have a number 1 contenders match with Death Triangle and whatever's left of Team Tag.
So hear me out on this. If we're going to go ahead and book some rankings, let's take Dark Order and the 2 other semifinalists and throw them in a ladder match for a number 1 contender. Yeah, nine guys going after the opportunity.
Well, hear me out on that.
Death Triangle, Dark Order, and Team Taz, and
my only thing is we've exploded Team Taz.
Well, we've got rid of Cage. It could just as easily be Starks, Powerhouse, Hobbs, and Hook then.
So my argument would be that why don't we just put Death Triangle and Dark Order in a ladder match there for it? Because 9 guys in the ring is a lot.
Because Best Friends just beat both of them.
Because yeah,
it's fair. At the same time, it's also at the end of a tournament.
I agree. Yeah, and I think that maybe the best way to get this done is
a battle royale.
I was going to say battle royal. Yeah, just the way they did for the tag tips.
Because we should be gearing towards another casino chip on a pole or whatever
ladder. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
King of the
we've had the casino ladder match where Brian Cage came out and tore the ladder apart. I think this could be that, but if you want your trios team, you have to, maybe you have to, win a match against another trios team to get into the tournament, or to get into the match.
Something that might be fun too that we decided against is we do have the Forbidden Door opened.
Oh, God.
I mean, we did use Sammy Callahan here, but I mean, we could see, Violent by Design show up. You could see a, Rich Swann and the Motor City Machine Guns show up. You could see Madman Fulton and Ace Austin find a third member and come try to win some gold. Or we could go totally in the other way, and you can see New Japan representatives. God shows up trying to win the trios title.
Suzuki-gun.
Suzuki-gun. I mean, there are endless possibilities, and that's what makes this fun, and that is what's made AEW fun. Is there is kind of some crazy uneasiness about what exactly could happen, because Tony Khan is brash and he's doing some things that are controversial, but
maybe a little crazy.
I'll tell you what, he's crazy, or he's crazy like a fox. He's got something figured. If unless he might know something we don't know, and that could be a big role there. But man, I'll tell you what, he sure feels fucking confident.
He he makes me want to tune in every Dynamite.
Let me throw out a stable here that, you know, because I don't want people to think we've overlooked the elite here, because I think that is an excellent way to throw another trios team in there, and include potentially more impact stars to crossover like you guys are talking about.
So we decided against the elite as a group when we booked this, just for full disclosure. We decided against the elite because, just as we discussed, the lack of people who've won championships is, at the end of the day, the trios guys for the elite were the Bucks and Kenny. And wow, we don't want to put the trios on them with they already have the tag belts and the heavyweight title. It's kind of hard to imagine somebody beating them in this tournament. They've got the resume that they have been trios champions before, in New Japan and Ring of Honor. Well, it was New Japan's belts when they represented in Ring of Honor, I think.
I think
But
there's a case to be made for Good Brothers and Omega to get a shot. And you can still protect Omega with that also, which is really great, because that's typically what they've been doing in Impact.
well, and that's something that I mean, now we're getting down wormholes, and but yeah, at some point they gotta make the Good Brothers look like they're worth a shit. Because right now they're just eating pins, man.
They're the fall guys.
Yeah, it's gotta change.
Yeah, I just think you can't put champs in the tournament.
Makes sense.
And obviously, you know, we could do Cutler and the Bucks, and Cutler can eat the pin, and we can do that, but there's almost no benefit to it, to the point where I feel that every match that we've incorporated in this has some kind of storyline end result to it, some kind of rivalry, some kind of buildup, something that's going to lead us out into several other areas. You know, if it's me, I'm probably having a rematch of the semis for the first title defense of Best Friends versus Death Triangle, because, you know, you got lucky the one time. It could be great, you know. Give them more than the 15 to 20 minutes that you'd have to give them, since Rampage is only an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we're giving the finals a full, you know, 20 to 30 minutes here, or that match that is going to be spectacular is going to get cut in half.
So here is another way. If you really want to set the tone for Rampage, and this goes against the whole tournament concept that we've just broken down. Get those final four teams and have 4-team elimination match, tornado style. You know, 12 men going at it, no DQ, falls count anywhere. When one of your teammates is pinned or submits, your team is eliminated. Last man standing wins. And yeah, that is your whole hour-long opener and main event of your Rampage to start the show.
And that's another option here. I do like how we booked it ultimately, but I do think getting the rematch again of Best Friends versus Death Triangle at a pay-per-view rather than Rampage is also going to be something to keep building towards. I mean, like I was saying earlier, having them catch Death Triangle, you know, just like how Orange Cassidy got caught at Double or Nothing, have him catch Pac like that. You know, it's not a dominant victory, but it's a victory, and it's to still establishes them in the finals.
Yeah.
It makes too much storyline sense for us, I think, you know. So I mean, I really like the feuds that we've created coming out of this. We're continuing a lot of them. We've established the Dark Order as main players in this division, and we needed to do that. And we have other guys in the Dark Order to pull and plug in. Maybe 10 realizes that he's not the guy for Silver and Reynolds, despite the success. Maybe it's 5. You know, who do we pull in and plug in here to finally get that success?
Dun.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Yeah.
Johnny Hungy convinces Hangman to come be the guy.
You know,
Or
A
just
lot.
got to be a member of the Dark Order to come win a trios title with the Dark Order. Join the Dark Order.
hey man, and we're leaving out another thing here. There are teams that are not established that were discussed that fit. The Acclaimed getting a third man, either Ethan Page or Scorpio Sky, would be a great fit in here. We're not too sure what the future is for them.
Yeah, well, we enjoy our fantasy booking. We try and keep it from getting too crazy. But yeah, I mean, there's a million things that could happen. We could, see Kaz convince Scorpio Sky that, hey, we said we would never be a tag team again, but let's get SCU back together for one more run in this tournament. Ethan Page would be a great fit with the Acclaim. He fits perfectly with that attitude and that style, and he is fantastic.
Finding a third man for the Varsity Blondes would make them, for me, a semifinalist. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anyone there currently to fit that role.
I think if Jungle Boy ditches the losers in Jurassic Park and bleach blondes that hair up, you got yourself a gumbo.
I'd almost rather see them pull someone in. I know they teamed with Danny Limelight, and there's some other guys they've worked with on Dark and on Elevation that I'd love to see continue there. But I do think there's a lot of potential for trios wrestlers. The number of stables that we've incorporated into it, number of tag teams. God forbid if they even change us up and make an intergender trios belt. Varsity Blondes with Julia Hart. I don't particularly want that, but that's an option that ultimately AEW can choose. I don't want it, but it's one they could do.
FTR with Tessa Blanchard.
Yeah, and here we are.
Best friends using the Freebird rule and Statlanders now defending the belt.
And book this going up to Rampage, but we also need to think about maybe some guys that are on the free agent market at the moment. That may come in and play an impact, in this tournament. Perhaps, a Tucker Knight with, the Varsity Blondes.
Or he becomes the third bear.
He could be
Bear Country, which would be fantastic.
But he fits that.
Further goes in supporting, what you guys say is that there is immense opportunity here, and it's at our fingertips, and we just need to pull the trigger and commit. And I think that's where we're at right now.
Absolutely.
Also, let me throw out another one here: Cardona, Brian Myers, and Cody Rhodes. Like the Cody frustration's real, but still, it works because they all came up around the same time. They all talk about being best friends.
I think you put Christian Cage with those guys.
With be the Edgeheads.
Look, there's three of us here now.
The brother husbands.
The brother husbands, baby. Coming for you, best friends. Looking these belts. How did we not put ourselves over?
We should have snuck in and backdoored those titles.
I could put in Marco Stunt.
Yeah, I know. I know I can beat up Marco Stunt.
Oh man, but yeah, I really like how we've done this. I know I keep coming back to it. I think everything established is good.
Correct.
Personally,
correct.
Would love to hear opinions.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a team we haven't mentioned yet.
Or a team you could put together.
Yeah, maybe one that you think would be better suited for this tournament. Put it in the comments. The best one that we get, we'll shout out an episode of PWO WrestleCast.
Yeah, awesome. We would love to hear from you guys. As always, give us a like and a subscribe. This is Creative Control. For those of you guys, we will have this show up probably Monday or Tuesday of the week. Look forward to WrestleCast tonight by being hosted by Matt. And, guys, we've been talking about this next gen show. It is coming at tomorrow will be June 1st. It'll be coming at the end of June. We want to see you guys there. If you're next gen fans and you're crossing over because you're getting to know us through supporting their show, hit us up, man. We want to meet wrestling fans. We want to talk wrestling with you guys. We're going to partake over the weekend when we're there. We're going to have a long weekend there. We want to get to know you guys, man. Let us know what's going on. Let us in on who we should be focusing on. If you got a favorite next gen star and you want to see us interview them, you want to see us reach out, maybe we can get them on the show before we even get to Tennessee, or maybe we can interview them there live. Let us know. All right. We are here to make next gen as open to you guys as they want to be. We want to make sure that you guys have a platform to get to know the guys you like watching in the ring. Codd, do you have anything to plug?
Yeah, I always do. There's always good stuff going on. Okay, Alvarez versus Meltzer is pumping it out. Okay. And just to piggyback on some of these that Pat said, guys, nextgentn.net, there's a good chance they are not going to sell tickets at the door. Make sure you go to the tickets portion. It is $18 for adults, $15 for children. No confetti cannons. Streamers are allowed, please. I heard that the lady is pretty passive aggressive about confetti cannons, so keep an ear out for that. Also, if you like what we're doing and you want to support us, guys, go to Ko-fi.com/PWO123. It's as easy as 123. And just for the price of a cup of coffee a day, you can support us in continuing to do more Creative Control episodes, all the prediction shows. It gives us more time to invest in that. Gives us more time to go to more wrestling shows, interview more talent. Some of these talents are not as nice now as they were during the pandemic and didn't have anything to do, so they didn't do them for free. But that doesn't make them a garbage person. But, we want to continue to create outstanding content for you, and this is a great way to support us in doing it. So, as always, appreciate the support. Like, share, and subscribe. All that good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you, Codd. Matt, you got anything? Preview tonight's show?
If this is out, if YouTube doesn't hate us, hopefully YouTube doesn't hate us. I got a couple ideas here. So we're gonna review Double or Nothing for starters. But keep your eyes out this month for the WrestleCast, because it's about the halfway point of the year, and this is about the time where we check out on our predictions from January. Maybe we give a midterm grade on how every company is doing this year. And, we'll have some fun. So tonight, look forward to a Double or Nothing preview and
review.
Review. Yeah, sorry. You give me a day off of work and my brain's off. So that's what I got. Stay tuned for the WrestleCast.
All right. This has been Creative Control. We are shooting on Memorial Day, so if you have an opportunity, please thank anyone who has served, and, keep your thoughts and prayers with those who gave the ultimate sacrifice so guys like us can sit on our computers and talk about professional wrestling on a Monday afternoon. Thank you guys, and God bless.